It's Sandy with Sandy Cogdale Designs, and it is release day at Trinity Stamps. And I have been so excited for this release. I love gnomes in general, but I love their gnomes especially. They are just so fun to color. Anyway, with these cute little Astronomes, I decided that a light up card would be just perfect, so I'm using a Pear Blossom Press lights set. I'm using the twinkly one so that my little stars shimmer in the background. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to be notified of future videos, and give me a thumbs up if you like this video. You can also follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdale Designs, or on my blog www.sandycogdaledesigns.com. Let's get started. To start this card, I'm going to cut a piece of cardstock 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and then I'm going to cut 2 strips of white cardstock. One's about 2 1/2 inches wide, the other is about 2, and I'm going to use the Scenic Borders Slimline Series die to cut out my cloud top. I like this die because it's actually for a slimline card, but I can use it in different positions to get a variation in my clouds. I want to add a little bit of color to my clouds, so I'm going to use some Salty Ocean Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to take a small blending brush and go around those upper edges, around the sides and the bottom of the larger piece. Nope, not the sides and the bottom. I'm going to go around the sides and down into the larger piece. And then on the smaller piece, I'm just going to go over the top, sides, and bottom so that I get a nice variegated coloring on that bottom cloud piece. Now I'm going to start on my background. So I'm using my cardstock that's cut at 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm going to start kind of down towards the bottom because I want a nice light area in the center of my card. So I'm going to start with tumbled glass, and then I'm going to blend in Salty Ocean. I'm going to blend in Prize Ribbon, and then follow that up with Chipped Sapphire. And as you can see, I kind of move back and forth between those colors just to get a nice blend. I don't want any harsh lines. I don't want any lines left from the brush, the bristles of my brush. So I just kind of go back and forth. And then when I'm finally happy with what I've got at that point, I do take just a teeny bit of Black Soot Distress Oxide ink, and I'm just going to hit those upper right and left corners and a smidgen down the side and a little bit at the top. That just kind of adds to that nighttime feeling. Now I need to decide where I want to put that little light mechanism, where I want the actual button to fall on that card. When I'm figuring this out, I want to make sure that where I'm placing it, I'm going to have enough room on the top and the side, or not the top, but the bottom and the side to place foam tape. It's going to be important to have that gap. Once I get that figured out, I'm going to use the Paper Crafting Magic stamp, and I'm going to stamp on Press Here to let the recipient of the card know what to do to get that card to light up, that it's going to do something really special. Now that I have my little instructions stamped on that bottom left corner of my card, I'm going to go ahead and use glue to adhere the 2 cloud pieces together. And then I'm going to take those 2 pieces and use some glue and apply that piece to my background. I personally am a glue girl. I use adhesive tapes somewhat, or when I have to, but I've had problems with those staying stuck over the long haul. So when at all possible and when it makes sense, I am definitely using liquid glue. That doesn't always work for interactive cards, but for this one, it's perfect. Now I need to determine where I want my little lights to be, and where I want them to light up. So I've cut some stars from the Paper Crafting Magic set out of gold cardstock, and I'm using the 3 largest ones. And I'm just kind of placing them around the gnomes where it's going to make sense to have those light up. Once I get those in place, then I will start gluing them. Now that I've got my large stars in place, I'm going to use some more stars that have been cut out with that die, and then just place them randomly throughout the sky. Now I'm going to take a double ball stylus and a self-healing mat, and I'm going to press holes in the stars that I want the lights to shine through. If I were using an actual hole punch that was leaving a larger hole, I would probably put a little piece of vellum colored with a yellow marker to kind of tone down that light. But since these holes are really small, I'm not too worried about covering up that hole with any type of vellum or tissue. To place the actual light button, I am going to use some really strong double-sided adhesive. This is one time where I will not use glue because I don't want any of that glue coming up over the sides and causing a problem with my light switch. So I'm going to place that on the back of that bar, clip that off, and then apply it to that bottom corner. I do want to, again, be really careful that I leave enough space to the side of the card and to the bottom of the card to place some foam tape. If you put that too close to either one of those edges, you're going to have a problem when you go to apply that foam tape. Moving right along, I'm going to take those little strands of wires that have the lights on the end, and I'm going to place them over the little holes that I've punched with my ball stylus, and I'm going to tape them down with just regular Scotch tape. Sometimes I kind of push those edges that are kind of formed by pressing that paper down and flatten them out a little bit so my light lays a little bit nicer in that opening. But once I get that placed, then I'll just go ahead and use some just regular Scotch tape to hold that in place. Now that I have all of my lights over the little openings, I'm just going to take some additional Scotch tape and just tape down all of those little wires that are just kind of flopping around there. Just kind of cleans up the back of that card. Next, we'll go on to applying the foam tape. I'm going to apply some foam tape around all the outside edges of my card. And then I don't want any like hollow spots or little areas where it's going to cave in. So I'll add additional tape to the center part where the sky would be. And then I also form like a little rectangle around the button mechanism just to give that a little bit extra stability. I always find it a little bit tricky trying to adhere 2 pieces of cardstock together so that they're even on all 4 sides. So what I like to do, especially like with this particular card, I'll peel off the protective tape in the center pieces. And then my outside edges, I will peel it off just a tiny bit and kind of fold it back. So I just kind of loosen it up on one side or the other. And then when I put my 2 pieces of cardstock together, so like my front and the base of this, I have a little bit of wiggle room as far as it's not going to stick and I'm not going to have to struggle with it. Okay, now we're to the fun part. We get to put our little gnomes on. I have colored these gnomes with Copic markers. The colors I have used are B02, B23, B24, and B26, V01, V04, V06, and V09. My grays are C0, C2, C4, and C6. My orange are YR65, YR68, and R17. And then for my little planet Earth balloon, the colors are G03, G09, BG05, and BG02. I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue on the back of those guys and get them adhered to my card. And we are pretty much done making this one. Thank you so much for stopping by today. I hope you enjoyed following along with the process of making this card. I think the little lights just make it so much extra. Anyway, once again, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up. You can subscribe to my channel. You can also follow me on Instagram at Sandy Cogdell Designs or on my blog, www.sandycogdelldesigns.com. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye-bye.